News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And very good morning to you. This is Newsline. This morning, not live, but a recording done just yesterday. And this morning, we've got with us as our very special guest, all the way from Victoria in Australia. And he's taken the trouble to try and put something back into the land of his birth. And you'll find out more about this as the program progresses. So he's right here with us. Mr. Jude Pereira is a former parliamentarian from the state of Victoria in Australia, and also the convener and the prime force behind this organization called New Era for Sri Lanka. Let's find out what it all means. And he's right here. Mr. Jude Pereira, very good morning and welcome to Newsline.
Thank you and very good morning to you.
Now then, Mr. Pereira, you've been a parliamentarian and a state legislator.
That's right.
And so on. And obviously you're from Sri Lanka. Tell us about this new era for Sri Lanka. What is it?
Right. This is a set of policies that is to take Sri Lanka to the future, if you like. It's like to thrive, in simple terms, thrive in economy and also rule-based society.
Right.
And this set of policies, two principles. One is people before profits.
Right.
That means we are not against making profits, but it is primacy is the people, welfare of the people.
So people before profits. That sounds a good tagline.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Thank you. And the other one is not the individual, but it is the policy that is going to deliver the goods.
It's policy. It's all about.
It's all about policy.
Policy.
Not individual. We don't go after individuals and say this individual can deliver the goods, because end of the day it is only a broad-based policy platform that will deliver things in favor of all Sri Lankans.
Right. And what are the why? Okay, let's start at the beginning. Why? What prompted you to start this initiative?
Yeah, when the social media was widespread and it's prevalent, like a lot of people, the usage went very high.
Yeah.
A lot of Sri Lankans started using social media, and most of the time I see they are attacking one side or the other side.
Right.
And even the artists like JVP mostly spend their lot of time attacking everybody else. And so the question is, yes, those criticism leveled at the people to whom those criticisms are leveled thoroughly deserve that. That's a separate issue. But end of the day, those criticism itself is not going to make a difference to the country. It is, say for example, you criticize this party and that party, and then if suddenly there's an election falling in front of you, what do? Then you have to choose this one or that one.
Right.
Right. So if you really want to make a difference, you have to come up with a set of policies. It's well and good if people are rallying around in big numbers, then you can move forward and take the next step and form in a political party.
Right.
But if not, there are things in this policy document where you can get involved and start doing at grassroots level without even the help of a government.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And how do you mentioned this thing in the conversation to us? What are the measures that you propose to establish a rule-based society?
Right. Two things. One is police monitor, right? I'll take a step back. So in our proposals,
Yeah.
The police will have the complete independence for all operational matters.
Right.
No politician, the politician or the minister, home affairs minister or the police minister, will be looking after, will not be able to interfere with police operations.
I see.
Now we set up a police monitor to see whether the police is doing the right thing.
Okay.
The police force. So there could be any number of senior judges or senior people, senior police officers. So their operations are completely independent.
How does that differ from the police commission then? We have a police commission in Sri Lanka.
Right. So police commission is, what is it?
Like,
what is the role of the police?
For example, if you need transfers, for example, and so on, it's done by them, not so that some errant senior officer, because he doesn't like, or you know what I mean, because it's corrupt and he wants somebody. So that's the.
We can. I mean, those things can be amalgamated into the police monitor as well.
Right.
Now this monitor goes beyond that. To check if say for example police is doing the wrong thing, the citizen can report to the police monitor, and they will run the inquiry, not the whim of the politician.
I see.
Yeah, so it is completely the arm's length with the politician.
Right.
And the other thing is broad-based corruption commission. So
a broad-based corruption.
Anti-corruption commission. Right?
So similar to the bribery commission here.
Yes, but goes beyond that. Bribery commission is only about bribery, not about other corruption. Isn't it?
Okay.
So this is a broad-based corruption commission, and
so, like for example, what would it?
It could be anything like criminal offences by the public servants, or
would
public
it cover departure from due procedure or due process?
Yes, if there's corruption involved.
Yeah.
Yes, if there's
well, usually if there's a departure from due process, there's a reason why, and at the end of the reason why is money.
Yes, then it's corruption. If it's corruption, yes, it's a matter you can raise with the corruption commission, and also corruption commission may inquire on their own motion. They can conduct their own motion inquiries as well. Any citizen can raise the matters with the corruption commission, and also they are protected by legislation that it is prohibited for making contact, the politician making contacts with the corruption commission or intimidating them, and then there will be other associated legislation like whistleblower protection and other things.
Why can't you, Mr. Pereira, whilst you're doing all this, do you have provision somewhere to suggest a system where those holding authority and responsibility in terms of national procurement, I don't mean the ministers, but I mean people like, let's say, the head of the Road Development Authority, for example, or the head of the Colombo Municipal Council, or somebody responsible at the top. Why can't it be done in such a way that if and when these officials meet potential contractors, that it's available when that the diary is available on the internet? Well, why can't we do something like that?
We can. We certainly can. I mean, this is only a draft.
Right.
This is and also this is a dynamic document.
Right.
So people can massage it. Things like that. It's a good. Things can be codified. Now, basically, one of the other policies is we are going to remove a decentralized budget from members of parliament. That's our proposal.
Right.
And because what we are saying is a member of parliament, if he's a corrupt, I mean, he can use for many things. Even if he's not corrupt, his interest is to get re-elected. So he will not get into what is important for the state or the district. He will see where I can generate highest number of votes, by diverting that money.
Yeah.
So, so those agencies you mentioned,
Yeah.
they will be the people making the calls.
Right.
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 So,
I see. And do you have any? Okay, let's ask you another question about these things. In this quest for a better system, what are the benefits of setting up a multi-party parliamentary investigatory committees?
yes, that's part of our policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because obviously there are some people who say, and in fact the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into perhaps Sri Lanka's largest financial scandal,
Yeah.
Also sometimes known as Bondgate,
Yeah.
the issuance of bonds by the central bank,
Yeah.
that commission
Yeah.
made a note towards the end of their report that they do wish that Parliament will recognize
Yeah.
that some matters needs to be done by professionals,
Yeah.
and with people who know the subject,
Yeah.
who know what they're doing, in short.
Yes.
It's always a good thing to deal with people who know what they're doing,
Yeah.
whether it's your plumber
Yeah.
or your mason
Yeah.
or your doctor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they have mentioned that point.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the report is voluminous in
Yeah.
size,
Yeah.
but it's there,
Yeah.
and it says that.
Yeah.
Is that, in your mind, is that
No, it's there. It's documented.
is that a good thing?
Yeah, yes, it's documented. Now we are talking about permanent parliamentary investigatory committees.
Yeah.
So they are actually, we see as a sort of link between the citizens and the governments.
Right.
Like if you conduct the investigation, like the investigatory committee, members of parliament, and also they will have a secretariat.
Yeah.
And these referrals could come from the parliament or from the ministers.
Right.
Then they go out there, conduct interviews, they call for submissions from the interested parties, average citizens. Then they pick up interesting submissions and call them for a public inquiry. And the end of the day, they do a report, but the report has to be based on evidence, right? You can't just say we are recommending this. You have to say these are the evidence and we recommend. So the government of the day will have to respond to that in 6 months, and government will have to say, okay, this is a good recommendation, we are going to implement. Second is, yes, it's a good recommendation, but we don't have the resource to implement, but we will do it later. Third one, we are not, no, we don't accept that recommendation for these reasons.
Okay.
So that's the role of the parliamentary committees, and also we are talking about like special parliamentary committees work with the diaspora committee as well.
On that note, we'll take a short break and see you on the other side of this. Don't go away, after all, this is Newsline.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukutali.
Bansural hande atere ape kame mir suya yanna varella yanna varella yanna varella karal varavila Tutta uturala
මේ අපි ජීවිතය සමරන භාග්‍යවන්ත බක්මාසයයි.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And welcome back to Newsline. Well, as you know, this is a recording, but if you have any questions, you can send it by SMS 0772 300 305. And in the fullness of time, certainly whenever we talk about these things, those questions will be raised and hopefully provide answers to you. And we are in conversation with Mr. Jude Pereira, a former parliamentarian from the state of Victoria in Australia. He represented the Labour Party and has been had held that position for consecutive terms, starting in 2002 and finishing in 2018, before his health issues meant that he had to hang his boots. And he's right here with us. We're going to ask you another question, Mr. Pereira. Your policy document states that that economic planning, not driven by conventional profit maximization, but is shared value maximization. Can you explain that?
What is important is the shared value. Say, for example, I'll give you an example. Also in the policy document, we say we are going to we are proposing to set up a ethical labeling authority.
Yeah.
So ethical labeling authority is to label products where companies are ethical. So what are these ethical companies? Ethical companies are the processes have environmentally sustainable processes,
okay.
and they reveal truthful information to their customers, and they treat they don't discriminate women, and they abide by the industrial relations laws, and they pay fair share of their taxes, and they don't employ younger children. So all these things are what we are saying is we are putting welfare of the people ahead of the profit maximization.
I see. I see. Your documents also speak about the democratizing of the economy.
Yeah.
It seems like a new concept.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is it?
All right. Democratization is of the economy is has catch wildfire in Western Europe, Spain, Italy, even it's in Britain and to a certain extent USA.
Yeah.
So basically what it means is we have the political democracy. That means one person, one vote. You elect a government. But when you go to a workplace where you spend your time, most of your time, your boss or the set of directors will appoint obviously the managing director or somebody who call the shots. You just do work and come back. You don't have a say, right? There's no democracy there.
Right.
So what we are not saying for overnight we change all that.
Yeah.
What we are saying is our policy is like this is again exact same policy as Jeremy Corbyn's for the last election.
Right.
That is, no company can be sold off or closed off or initially IPO, initial public offer,
Yeah.
before they give the first right of refusal to their workers to take over and run the organization.
Right.
If the workers are prepared, if business is sound, and we also proposing to elect a WST, Worker Self-Driven Authority. That's what we call Worker Self-Driven Enterprises, to work with these people and see whether it's feasible for them to take over and run it. If they do, the government should support them through the banking system.
Right.
So this is basically this is all cooperatives,
Right.
but it's a new way of doing business. It's a business, but it is run by, for example, the General Assembly every year.
Yeah.
General Assembly of all workers meet, and they decide how much profits to be allocated, how much goes to reserve, and how much goes for welfare for the community. Now, when I'll get an example of Mondragon. That's a model in northern Spain in the Basque country.
Yeah.
Mondragon Cooperative Corporation.
Right.
In Mondragon Cooperative Corporation, there are 102 cooperatives.
Right.
And if you get one the standard is, at the moment, they will take you as a worker, and after 1 year they offer you to become a member.
Right.
When if you choose to become a member, you will have to pay 15,000 euros. And if you are given 2 years to come up with that money, if not, you can get a loan from the Mondragon financial arm, right? Then that 10% of that 15,000 will go to the general fund of the company, and other 13,500 will sit there as your individual account, right? So every year, fortnightly, as a member worker, you only get an advance. Only at the end of the year, you get the profit.
Oh, I see.
Right?
I see.
So if they say out of the profit 30% is going to be distributed, according to your band, like your salary band, it could be 1 to 6 or 7. The lowest will be 1, highest will be 7, I think about 7. According to that, your account will be credited out of that 30% pool.
Okay.
Right. So, and when you leave the company, you take it with you. And it has been running it started about 50 years ago by a person called, Catholic priest called Reverend Aris Mandarita.
Right.
And now it's a big organization employing about 70,000 people.
And it actually works?
It works, yes.
Right.
It's huge, yes.
So you're hopeful that with your knowledge of Sri Lanka, will it work?
Yes, it will definitely work. So it is not. It's not to say you suddenly come and make WSDs everywhere. It says, okay, you start small scale one in remote areas.
Yeah.
There are no jobs. You call people, and say for example, I went to Manchester. In Manchester, there was the University Cooperative. They had a project in, I think it was in Jaffna, war widows. They got a collective of war widows and got some cows. So they are collectively looking after the cows, milking and selling the milk in a cooperative way. So small scale projects you can start, and the companies who are going to close, you can take over and do it. And yes, and there are
many possibilities. And also, what is meant in your, again, from your policy document, what do you mean by the statement, the health system is based on patients' needs and not according to the size of their purse?
Correct.
What do you mean by that?
Yes. What we are doing is this is pretty much the Australian way. What we are proposing is a 2% tax on health.
Right.
Right. So everybody pays 2% income levy, tax levy, right?
Yeah.
So it is according to your purse, right?
Right.
You pay.
Yeah.
But when you get health services, when you go to the GP, right, you will not get the full amount charged by the GP. You will only have to pay a small co-payment, and the balance will come from that fund.
Okay, it sounds pretty good. This all sounds very good to me. I need to ask you another question in the context of some of these, hopefully at some point in time, in the fullness of time even, that some sensible Sri Lankan politician or wannabe politician or emerging politician who knows, will actually want to implement some, if not all, of these sort of proposals. In that context, I'm asking you, does Victoria have, or indeed does the federal system in Australia have provision for and laws governing electoral funding? Do you all have laws like that?
Yes. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. You will have to declare, now they are going to change that to after every election you have to declare all the funding
you received.
You received.
That's, you are obliged to do that by law.
Oh yes, yes, by law.
Well, there you go. That's one more point, Mr. Jude Pereira, that you need to fly the flag for. Because in Sri Lanka, as you know, we don't have anything remotely close to laws that govern electoral funding. And corruption may well find, you may well find that corruption has its beginning in that. Because politicians rely on others to fund them. And when they come into power, then there's a question of payback time.
Australia is also going to change, make it stringent, that it has to be done real time, not end of the election, but I think within 1 week or 2 weeks. They haven't done it, but their proposals are on table. Now, in our policy document, I think from memory, we are proposing that.
Right. Right. Well, unfortunately, Mr. Pereira, we've come to the end of this morning's program. We hope that, why don't you tell us where you'll be having this symposium, New Era for Sri Lanka, when and where? Tell us that.
Yes, we are launching it on the 4th of May.
On the 4th of May?
At 9:30 at Mahaveli Centre.
Well, and there you go. That's the way it was on Newsline this morning. We do hope that you can make it to New Era for Sri Lanka, the symposium, at the Mahaveli Centre on the 4th of May at 9:30. It's a start towards hopefully ensuring a better place for all of us here in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much to Jude Pereira for coming all the way from Australia and sharing his thoughts with us. Thank you.
And thank you very much for having me here.
It's an absolute pleasure. On behalf of the chairman of the group, directors and the board, and especially Team News First, we wish you well in your endeavours, and we appreciate your efforts to bettering Sri Lanka, the land, I hope, of your birth.
Yeah, my umbilical cord is buried.
Indeed. There you go. There we are. That's it. Take care. Have a great day, and God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukutali.
අවුරුදු සමග සමරමු ජීවිතය